Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the RoboCast. I am Sam Edit 64, and I'm joined alongside.
Anderson 9132. Woohoo! I'm back again. Sorry
You're
about last week. I was having a life. Sorry. I apologize.
you're allowed. You're not allowed a life, not with me anyway. Once again, we have two guests for this week. Guest number one, introduce yourself.
I am Tim. I'm the team captain of Team Concussion that you saw on Sunday just gone.
And guest number two.
And I'm Tom, captain of Team Tauron, and you saw me failing miserably just a couple of days ago, actually.
It wasn't that bad. It
We
really
barely,
wasn't.
we barely saw you, to be fair. We barely saw
I
you.
mean,
Oh dear, that was quite something.
I have to ask.
I was
Obviously,
expecting more from the flag of
the slut of Robot
I
Wars.
was expecting it to be a bit kinkier. All I got was a dick tease. I'm a bit upset, but oh well.
Oh, well, I mean, you guys did call it. I think it was the slut of Robot Wars. Was that it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm so sorry it wasn't on for longer.
I have to ask. Obviously, you two are brand new competitors. You two are like the newbies of the series. Like you've done
Yeah.
no lower weight classes.
Yeah.
How intimidating is it when you get in there, you walk in, you see the draw, and you see a robot like Thor in your group, for example?
I think
Oh my god.
considering you both have got polycarbonate panels, yeah, that is quite an intimidating thing to see when you go into your group. Yeah.
It was a little bit, wasn't it? I mean, it was so surreal walking in the first time. Like, I just remember walking in, and straight away was just like Apollo right there, right in front of me. And I remember just turning to my dad and just being like, "What the hell are we doing, man? What the hell are we doing?" It was so weird. I'm sure you'd agree, Tim.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you might have seen it, but in the episode with Sabretooth, there's a bit where Gabe's walking back from a fight, and you hear someone shout "Gabe" in the background. That was me, out loud, in front of the camera, and realizing,
Oh dear.
oh, it's him in real life. Yeah.
I mean, like, because you two, you're very much of our like kind of match. You've come from like being massive fans of the show to actually going on and competing. Going out there and giving it a go. How was the transition? Did you kind of feel a bit? Did you still feel like fans in a box really, or did you just kind of settle in quite quickly?
Oh well, that's quite something. I think firstly, it was definitely completely surreal. I very much had a bit of a fanboy moment. Like I think Dave would attest to that. Like walking in there, and I remember just walking around in disbelief, just walking amongst all these robots that I'd seen on TV for years and years, and there I am, one of them now, I guess. And I guess as time went on, it slowly sunk in, and as the stress levels rose, it slowly sunk in that I was there to actually compete, and I wasn't there.
You had to fight
I wasn't
them.
there to be a fanboy, you know. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with Tom there. I mean, like coming from a point of being in the audience, the series before, and then flipping from that to an actual competitor. Yeah, it's completely different. You go from sort of feeling like it's another world to then being part of that world. It's an incredible feeling.
This is quite weird having like a favourite robot and then thinking, oh shit, I got to go and try and smash that up now.
Yeah.
I can imagine that's quite an original, quite
That's
interesting
part of the fun.
feeling.
Well, that's very true. Anyway,
Well, there you go. Yeah.
obviously we must move on to the actual hit. And I think we start with Melee 1. I think we'll start with Tom. It didn't last very long, unfortunately, for you.
Oh, no.
What happened, Tom? What happened?
What happened? Oh, that's the question.
Did Tim bully you?
Oh yeah, he got
Let me
me.
point out,
Yeah.
it's Carl that does the driving.
Sorry. Carl, how could you?
Oh man, so we were not in the best shape arriving to Glasgow, to be honest. I mean the night before we were doing final tests with our weapon motor, and we
Right.
were just spinning up the E-Tech, and we span it in reverse when it started making a very nice grinding noise. And as we kept testing it, eventually it kind of blew up the speed controller for the weapon motor. So we were up until about 4 a.m. desperately trying to get this thing working. And eventually we just went to bed and we'd basically given up. And
really?
I mean, yeah, it was not good. We were certain that we were going to have to be replaced. And I mean, I remember that night I was messaging a few people rapidly that I knew that were on the show, hoping that, by the time we get up there, hopefully someone can be able to help us out.
Help us, please.
Yeah, basically just going up there and just screaming help, And luckily Gary of PP3D, I mean, what a bloke.
What a man. He got you
what
up
a
to
man.
speed. He got you up to speed.
He's such a wonderful man. He got me up to speed now,
Surely
boys.
you mean,
Yeah.
When it started working, did he say she's up to speed now, boys?
Oh,
Please
you know
tell me.
what? I wish he did. Oh man, that would have made it worthwhile. But yeah, I mean, we got up there, and he put us in contact with another team, a team called Team Phantom. You might have heard of them. They're a team that applied with a robot called Vortex.
I've seen it around, yeah.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool. And the guy Sean from that team, I actually met up with him that day because he so happened to have an e-tech that we could use.
Right.
And so in the pits that day, he literally leant over the fence, and I bought this motor from him, and we spent the rest of the time just trying to install it. And I remember Rory and Dave, of course, Dave was there, helped us source a solenoid to control the weapon. So we went into the arena with a brand new e-tech and a brand new solenoid, and because it was just the solenoid, we could only spin it in one direction. So we were so fortunate not to get flipped. And I mean, when I say we made it into the arena, we limped into the arena. It wasn't good. It was wires everywhere, and we got into the arena. 3, 2, 1, activate. Spin up the weapon. There's the death hum. We get a little boop from Concussion, and they knock out our link.
In fairness,
They knock out.
It was a nudge. It was a bit of a nudge.
It was a little nudge. We get a little loving push from Concussion, and
love pushes. Yeah.
it was wonderful. And at that point, I think the link dropped out.
Don't mention that because Reddit will go mad.
Oh man! Oh god! Damn it. You know what? I actually haven't checked Reddit right now because I know that. Oh, it's
Just
gonna be
hide. Just don't go near it.
So I mean, we made it into the arena, and because we lost weapon and drive at the same time, and the lights had gone out, it's pretty certain that the link had come out. And what's more frustrating is that after the fight, we put it in the test box, put the link back in, and voila, it was completely fine.
Oh no, that
yeah,
is...
and I mean, we spent the rest of the week sitting in the pits with our fully functional robot, hoping for, a reserve or a whiteboard fight, and it never came. So,
Oh man,
that's the tale of Tauron.
I just want to give you a hug now. I mean, this is awful.
No. That it's just one of those things, really. And I mean,
Yeah.
we totally want to do it again. And actually, an exclusive for your podcast, I can reveal that about a week ago, we sent off the application for Tauron Mark II.
Fantastic.
Woo! So
The slut of
hopefully-
Robot Wars lives on, ladies and
the
gentlemen.
slut of Robot Wars will return, hopefully. as long as
Hopefully we can see how kinky it can really get.
It's a bit of a filthy robot. It might be, dare I say, too filthy for Robot Wars.
Too
but
hot for Robot Wars.
We will see. We will see. Too hot for Robot Wars. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
So, Tom, I'm going to ask you this completely at random and not for the second time now.
Oh, yes.
Question, what does Tauron mean?
That's an excellent question with an excellent answer. So Tauron is based on the word Taurus, as in the bull, and automaton, as in robot. Therefore, robot bull.
Oh,
Genius.
that is very cheeky.
This is quite
Oh, it's a
literally.
little bit cheeky.
Yeah.
It's quite literally the bull's bollocks.
There you go. It's the bull. Oh my god. You have. Oh dear. You do run a very strange podcast. I tell you. Like,
We're not.
Honestly, guys, this is nothing. I mean, you should see what me and Sam are like behind a closed door. It's daft.
Oh
It's quite.
Hang on, we're not getting involved with that.
oh,
Obviously, you nearly took out Thor.
yeah, we did, didn't we?
You nearly took out Thor. We'll talk about Thor. Obviously, Tim, you yourselves and Thor had a bit of a rivalry going on with Thor this heat. It was kind of you were the big heavy hitters. I felt, throughout. Was that intimidating at all? Was Thor intimidating as an opponent? Going into this.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, we sort of made a joke of there were 3 robots we didn't want to face in our heat, and Thor was in that 3. So obviously, being soft on top. But yeah, he was definitely in our heat, that's for sure. He's an incredible machine, though. Like Jason, for a one-man band, he puts in so much effort. We have, the utmost respect for him, and we showed that to him while we were there, and we have, since the showing, because he just at what he does, he's fantastic. He's really, really good for the axe game in Robot Wars. Because there's not many people really trying.
That's he offers something quite unique and different, doesn't he? He's got a I mean, for me, Thor Mark whatever. I think it's Mark 9. This one it's so sleek. It looks the bill.
I mean, you think of its first axe. It wasn't like a bit of box section that had been filed to a point. So I remember the first axe being back in I think it was Series 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Series
6.
Yeah, Series
was
6.
It? Or...
Series 6 H to be exact. Sorry.
Oh,
yeah.
And
get out.
Yeah, Series 6, and it's just a world away.
Yeah.
It's one of those great robots you can see over time has progressed, and as a driver he's progressed as well because he doesn't really do stupid mistakes. He's when you're going to fight with him, it's not going to be his own doing. That's his own fault. If he loses.
Yeah.
He's a good driver.
Absolutely, I think.
I agree with what you're saying there, because I remember when I first saw that in Series 6, and if you had told me then that would go on to become one of the most serious contenders in the UK Championship, I would have literally said, dream on. So, fair play to Jason, he's done a bloody good job, and I think if it wasn't for your robot, Tim, I think that Thor would have been in with a very strong chance of managing to win its heat this year.
I'll be honest, actually, if Tom had got through the four-way, and ended up with Thor, and if everything was going his way, the way your weapon is positioned, Tom, I reckon you'd have absolutely destroyed his axe coupling at the top. And the reason I'm saying that is I'm thinking of sort of Nightmare versus Beta over the pond. It's, the way your weapon would have almost certainly got him right there. So
yeah,
I would like to have seen that. Not because I don't like Jason, but because I want to see Tom's robot do well. So.
Oh, thanks. It was so frustrating the way things went. It should have been so much more competitive, I reckon. It was a hell of a weapon. It made a good noise.
It did make a good noise.
Yeah. Oh man, it's funny because you were talking about overhead weapons, and I remember when I applied on the weaknesses section, I think I mentioned how we were vulnerable to overhead weapons because we've only got polycarbonate on the top, like you, I guess, right? And they put us in a fight. And they put us in a fight with Thor, who is an overhead weapon.
And Chimera,
of course, has the overhead weapon. And our house robot is Shunt, who, guess what, also has an overhead weapon.
Absolutely.
But, yeah.
They were out to get you to, newbies have to come in, with a trial of fire and that was it. And you didn't get hit by the axes, but I mean, other things happened.
I mean, one thing they didn't show is at the end, after Cecil being pulled, Shunt put his axe straight through our top and pushes into the flame pit. So that was nice.
It was nice of him.
Yeah.
That was very friendly.
You mentioned Chimera.
Oh, you had no war wound,
go on.
did you? So you wanted to make sure you went in with something.
Oh yeah, totally.
It was a nice battle scar. Anyway, as I said, you mentioned Chimera 2, to be exact. Obviously, this is a world away from the last one, and I was impressed by it quite a lot, to be honest with you. It was eager to get in the action. I thought they held their own quite well, obviously, until Tim and Co came in and kind of wrecked their day. Tim, you have a habit of doing this. Come on,
Well, I mean, to be honest, Carl is one of these guys who's quiet, calm, while he's slowly smacking you in the back of the head with an axe. Have you ever seen American Psycho or
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit like that. But he's the loveliest guy. But when he gets behind the controls of a robot, he has a darker side. We all found out. Gives it the beans, or goes hell for leather, as I said about 30 times in that episode. Which, yeah. So he's a fantastic driver, and he's like me. He'll watch every fight again and again and again just to see where robots fail and see where you want to hit them. It's a game of tactics, really, if you want to try and win, but it's also a big game of luck as well. So you need a bit of both.
Yeah. Any more on Chimera? Anyone?
Well,
I mean,
I like how its wheels survived this time. I thought that was pretty cool. They made some homemade wheels that were flexible and didn't break off as easy as anything. Fair play, a massive improvement. And I'm actually a little bit gutted it lost, to be honest. I was kind of rooting for them as sort of like the little underdog that might come along, like Chimera was in the last heat. It would have been nice to have seen them get past at least the first round. But fair play. Concussion won, so fair play.
you look at their engineering level compared to the first robot, it was significantly better. I mean, having done IPC 620 wiring inspection, I did have a look in their robot and nearly, died of a heart attack. But apart from their wiring being incredibly messy, everything else was a lot better. And I generally was impressed by how much better they had done since last time.
Yeah,
I think they actually
kind of world apart, isn't it? Really?
I think they bought the first Chimera, didn't they? I think
They
Sort
did
of,
buy
yeah.
the
did they? Yeah. And they built the second one, I think,
From
from
scratch.
scratch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's huge improvement.
impressive.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we should finally wrap things up. Tim, Concussion, take it away. Tell us the story.
Okay. Well, basically, we're all rookies. Came back from the series, wanted to build a bot. I wanted to do a drum spinner because I didn't think anyone in the UK had done one.
And then you
And
turn
then
up and there's
within a
four.
couple of weeks, we saw. Huh?
You turn up and then there's four.
Yeah, typical, isn't it? Yeah. But and then after we'd come up with some sketches, we saw the new series of Battle Bots, and Minotaur was on there, and Poison Arrow. There was quite a few good ones there, and we thought, this is really an idea we can do. It seems to be practical and work. So we just sort of ran with it, and hours of testing and everything, and we came up with Concussion. And it's unreal. We'd never thought for being rookies we'd do an episode, especially with people like Thor and, I mean, John Denny as well on heavy metal. As much as I think it's one of the ugliest looking colour schemes I've ever seen, he's got years of experience in the arena.
Yes.
He's a great chap. The whole team is. There's a lot of experienced and high damaged roboteers and robots there, and it was a big learning curve as well, I think, and I'm sure Tom will credit that.
Oh yeah.
There's so many things. Just you think, mount this and shock and this, but it's always the little tiny details that you don't know are going to hit you that get you. So
The little tiny links, that's what gets you.
yeah, that's why we 3D printed us. Wanted to make sure it didn't come out. Yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm massively proud of all my team. They did fantastic. They're how many just to get doing stuff. Like Sam literally spends 90% of his life in bed. But
Reminds me of me.
Out of mechanical design, and Carl and Nick have put a mammoth effort in as well. So yeah, it's not about just the robot. It's massively about the team, because in those pits, I'm sure you saw it in the episode, but apart from the heavy metal fight,
Also, you had a lot of problems, didn't you, with Concussion?
Yeah, like we can now rebuild the whole robot in less than 2 hours. It was amazing. Like, especially John Reed was just to the corner of our table, terahertz, and he was fantastic. He was really funny. Like, for some reason, I was measuring something up to fit in quickly when we were rushing in, and he's like, "You don't measure it, you just cut it and fit it." And he smacked me over the head with a pool noodle. Yeah,
What was it? What was it? When he said stop firing, he gets to choose when things get fired.
yeah. Wait for a good shot. Wait for a good shot.
Yeah.
That's what Nick was saying to him when he was holding the pool noodle. Wait for a good shot. Right there. Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, so obviously, you make it through with Thor. So, Tom, sadly, you go out with Chimera this time. We'll move on to Melee 2.
The podcast now.
Hi guys. Yeah.
We'll move on to Melee 2, and I think the most heartbreaking thing of this whole episode, for me at least, Foxic.
Little Foxic.
Oh my!
Actually, I felt a slight tug of my heart. I told this to Sam earlier. I felt a slight tug of my heartstrings the moment it got flicked over, because I really saw Craig's face.
Oh.
I mean,
and he knew. He knew straight away.
I mean, and what annoys me is it was working properly. It was working properly this time, and then the Flopper goes and ruins things. Oh,
I have to say,
oh man,
this is probably a bit of a shout. Tim, I don't know if you'd agree with this. But do you think Foxic would have beaten you?
Do you know what? I think it would have been very close. I feel that. I mean, we've made really good friends with Craig even before the show.
Yeah.
But I feel it would have been close because he's such a hard, small robot, and our drum our drum's EN8, which is pretty tough. It's got the same welding rods used as Warhead does on the teeth, which is Simon's secret. We're not allowed to say what they are. But I feel like our drum probably would have been round by the end of the fight. Let's put it that way.
It is a tough robot, that. It's a tank, isn't it?
Big hits and lots of coming back at each other battles. You know, one of those ones that you just drain to your last ounce.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
there would have been battle between orange and orange. I mean, that's what we got.
Yes,
that's what we,
they would. That's what we're all after. I mean, personally, I think what everyone's after really is Craig's hoodie. To be honest with you, I want to know where he got it from.
Oh, the onesie.
I need to know where he got it from. Right? Craig, if you're watching, please tell us where you got it from.
I feel like you're coming out as furries, but yeah.
No, not.
In all fairness, I mean, Foxic's very, very low on the ground as well. Because I mean, Expulsion hasn't got the highest of ground clearances, and that literally just drove straight through it. I mean, it literally drove right so far. I mean, I think it could have done very, very well.
I mean, he's got four-wheel drive, you know, and he's running them hot as well. So he's got a lot of power behind his drive. He's, you know, powerful hot.
I reckon it would have been close. I think, you know, had it had the opportunity to go through, it probably would have been them in the heat final with yourselves, Tim. I think, you know, possibly Thor had its reliability issues throughout. We'll get to that obviously as we go through, but I mean, I think, you know, it's a shame, and I do genuinely hope we do see Craig and Foxic again for Series 3. I'm sure we will.
Actually, Tom will add to this as well, but he spent all of his time when he got there helping other teams. He spent about 15 minutes on Foxic in the pits before he went in.
Oh, yeah.
He was fantastic. He's very selfless. He might come across as a little bit crazy, and he is, but he's very selfless. And he put every other team for himself. So, you know, if he had technical problems, it was really unfortunate because everyone wanted him to do well because he's such a nice chap.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I remember him just helping out so many people, and I think that's one thing that you don't see on the show so much. Just, you know, the sense of camaraderie and everyone just helping out each other. Like I remember that there was a speed controller that came out of one robot that actually hasn't aired yet, so I won't say who. But their speed controller went into our robot for our melee, and then when we were out, I think it actually went into yours, didn't it, Tim? Viper. Yeah. So this one speed controller has been through three robots. Yeah, I just think that's absolutely brilliant how everyone just helps out and pitches in. It's funny because I think it's so funny because outside the arena we're all great mates and everyone's helping out each other, but then in the arena it's a totally different story.
that changes and everyone
round them to the side when they're not looking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you're the friends. The robots aren't the friends. You know, the robots can just smack each other around for a week. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. Absolutely. We'll move on from Foxic. We'll go to Expulsion. Obviously, Anderson, you mentioned that. The school kids, fantastic effort.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's so unique. I've never seen anything like the disc thing that they've got going on. They're the teeth that fly out like a ninja star. It's so great, and I'm glad it didn't work to its full potential. I mean, it was in a tough melee, but
it was a nice machine. That
it's nice to look at. It's great.
Mm-hmm. It's great to see because all four of the kids involved were brilliant. They weren't sort of like, oh, look at me, or oh, well, we're going to do well because the kids. They were generally there and they were acting like they were full-blown engineers. They were brilliant. It wasn't any of this, oh, you got to take it easy on them or you got to this. They just went in there and wanted to be treated like other roboteers, and they really were. They were absolutely great.
Totally.
I hope we see them again next series. Absolutely.
It's great seeing kids take part, or schools take part as well. Because I mean, some of the best teams from the original show were from school teams. I mean, look at Roblox, for example. They were grand champions. And it's one of those things where I look at them and think these kids are about 6 years younger than I am, and they're capable of putting together something like this. And here I am, and I struggle making toast. So it is a very upsetting thing. But in all honesty, great credit to them, and it's a shame it didn't last as long as it could. It would be great to see what else they could knock up because I mean, it was fantastic.
I mean, they had like 2 months to make it as well. It was absolutely no time at all. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Fantastic effort from them as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Speed Squared, MR Speed Squared, or simply Speedy. I think we'll move on to that. MR Speed.
They kept calling it that. I don't get that.
I'm just going to call it Speedy. I think we'll stick to Speedy. I think that's
Speedy.
the way to go. They had exactly the same problems as last series. they turn up, batter everyone in round 1, and then just limp through the head-to-heads. It's such a shame because I love the look of the new one. I think it was so powerful, and I just thought this is going to wreck worlds, and it didn't. I was gutted. I was really gutted that it didn't get going. Go on.
I think if there's a robot that if there was an award for the robot with the most potential, I think it probably would have gone to them because they really did obliterate people in their melees, didn't they? But then
it was brutal. Yeah,
it was utterly brutal. I mean, I think they did go out spectacularly, though. Of course.
Yes, their gyro dance was awesome as well. Like their sort of the UFO kind of gliding. That was awesome.
That was so cool.
Yeah,
it's an impressive idea, but it's I think it's experience for that team as well, isn't it? They've not got the most experience, but they're on the edge of something brilliant, and if they can get it down reliable, they'll be fine.
I think one more within 1 or 2 series, that design is going to be perfected, and I'm counting on them to come back and blow everyone away. When it happens, it's going to be amazing.
Or something over the pond, get some people who've done it before on the line, get them out,
Yeah,
get
absolutely.
That final little tweak. Yeah.
It'll get there.
Just like to also say quickly, as a man who is getting married soon, I have my biggest sympathies now for the team captain who now has to get married.
Actually, on that subject,
mate, trust me, it's stressful.
He's got away with a swear on Robo Wars. Actually, I'm almost certain. He said bloody. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was like, yeah.
How could he?
I mean, that's why there's not much footage of us in the booth, because it was just me, Sam, swearing our heads off all the time. That's why there's only about 2 shots of us in the driving booth.
There are some points where I do wish that it was an after the Watershed show. You can just imagine John shouting to us, "Oh, he just got twatted!"
That'd be so hilarious.
It'd be great. Right,
one time, can we have it on at 10 o'clock at night? It'd be amazing. Finally, heavy metal. Obviously, the paintwork of dreams, as Tim's already said. I mean, the driving from John Jr. was stellar, wasn't it? Really, he was on fire the whole night. It's a shame, really, in the first round that it kind of was hampered from the get-go. Mr. Speed Squad, obviously, as we said, demolished everything. It demolished heavy metal throughout the night as well, and I think that's what really cost them potentially a heat final spot.
Yeah, it is a shame that their weapon got knackered so early on, because I really wanted to see that do more than what it did. Because it wasn't supposed to be like a grabber or slash, also like a body lifter. It was like meant to lift the wedge up.
Sort of in the league of lockjaw and bite force, that sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of like a wrestling move robot.
Well, it was painted like Bret Hart.
Against you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like that overhead arm, isn't it, that can come down and clamp, but also I think go the other way and then lift up. I think
lift the whole body up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But it was it was really interesting to watch, and obviously, as you mentioned, the Denny's have been around since Series 2 in some guys or another, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But I think this again, the potential's there for heavy metal in the future to go and really make a name for itself. But this series obviously was very hampered from its antics in round 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair play for originality, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. There's nothing quite like it, is there? Anyway, out in that melee, sadly, Foxic and
like if you cried first time.
Sorry, Craig.
One like equals one prayer for Craig. Through go Mr. Speed Squared and heavy metal. First match, Tim, talk us through it. Thor. What was the plan?
In the 4-way fight, we were like, "Oh, this is great. Oh, it's just everything's going well. We've got to do a bit of repair, but we got this, and this, and we were feeling good." And then we went in the Thor fight, and as it was happening, we're like, "Oh, this is everything people warn you about." So like getting stuck in the arena, house robots having a go at you. I mean, we got mounted by Matilda, dead metal, couldn't get through our 12mm polycarb. It was like, what's going on? And it was just, we're getting our asses handed to us by someone who's got tons of experience. But what happened was, when Matilda mounted us, as she quite literally did,
yes,
little concussions came out. But
I
then
was going to say, have you had a little have you had a proposal from Matilda since?
no, but Jeremy Kyle invite, yes. But one of the two, we got a double redundancy system on the weapon, so it runs on two F-3150s.
Right.
And one of the belts snapped as Matilda hit us. The shock just completely snapped the belt. And we were running on one belt right near the end of this fight. And you know how we got stuck on the pit? And it's a bit annoying, but I know, Grant wouldn't have just let that pit go down if we were stuck on it, because it's an arena floor, isn't it? It's not our fault for getting stuck on something that's not working quite properly. Mm-hmm. But what happened was we were on there, the belt had come off, Sam was worried, Carl was worried, and we were like, oh, we're done for here, Thor's lining up the kill shot. And then we saw the belt come out. Sam said, don't do the weapon, it's not going to handle it. I was like, no, we've got to give it the beans. And Thor charged at us, Carl timed it perfectly, and we flipped him over.
And sent it to Narnia.
One of the million shot, yeah.
That was literally just a middle finger, wasn't it? Straight up.
It was like we were in the worst place. We thought, oh no, this is it now. We're going to get battered by everyone. And from that one hit, that one moment where the match turned, I think it's one of the tensest fights I've ever seen. And it's not just because we were in it. It was to the last few seconds,
Yeah.
I think on the clock there was something like 7 seconds left on the actual 3 minutes. So, if we hadn't got that hit when we did.
I have to say, if it did go to the judges, I think it probably would have gone against you from the way the fight was going. But, it would have been close. Both fights with yourselves and Thor were incredibly close. Tom, anything to add?
Oh man, I just remember it was a brilliant fight. I remember watching that from the monitors in the pits, and there was such a huge reaction when you managed to clip Thor and flip him over. It was a similar reaction to your viewing party last night, actually, when the whole room just erupts. It was so good. Oh, it's great TV, great TV.
Absolutely.
I did like the team reaction. To be fair, just seeing that, it was
just
great.
a big yes, It was great.
Oh
dear.
Proper manly.
Like it, yeah.
Yeah. So out went Thor, 3 points for Concussion. Next fight saw Speedy and Heavy Metal. Heavy Metal from the bat. Bang, straight.
He was
straight
on him, wasn't he?
Yes.
It's just controlling that fight so early on, just ramming him. I think that's one of the best tactics, right? With dealing with a big nasty spinner like Mr. Speed Squared. Just keep on them. Don't let them spin up.
And the
Bit
first hit,
like Terahertz versus Carbide last year.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think back to Expulsion. I think that's what Expulsion's trick was, wasn't it? How the teeth only come out once the disc reaches a certain speed, and so the point being with them is that they can spin up safely so that no other robots can stop them, and then when it reaches a certain speed, the teeth will come out, and then it will start to engage with other machines.
Yeah,
that's so clever. I love that.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah. It's really cool.
But in this fight, Heavy Metal's driving. John, again, as I said already, John Jr.'s driving was pretty spotless. I think he's just the first impact of Mr. Speed squared into the wall, but I think it dislodged something and the disc stopped. I think that was just mega.
One big thing about Heavy Metal, actually, I really respect John for it. Actually, is that nearly everything in our bot was laser cut from CAD, and then welded up and lined up and everything. But his hand cut Hardox with an angle grinder, lined it all up by hand by himself. So to get such a neat wedge, it's unreal.
Yeah,
so much time.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's a manly way to do it. That's a manly way to do it.
That's a real proper wedge. And I know that sounds daft, but there's so many robots that just too high wedge or too flat, but their position of it spot on. It's just that right height to get people off their wheel and lose traction so you can push them around.
Yeah,
it's a good spot.
It's a cracking little thing, and he controlled the fight magnificently, and then they both end up in the pit, which is always nice to see. But I think had Mr. Speed Squared been fully working, I think the outcome would have been very different. But I think
it might have been.
Yeah, but I think
even if a robot's not working fully, or there's issues, you still credit to the other team for dealing with it properly, because you could think, oh, they're holding back, or you don't know what to do. But John Jr. definitely went for it, put in a very good performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Anderson, anything to add?
Well, I think it's all been pretty much said, really. I mean, it was a damn good fight. I liked it because it was a bit of an underdog story.
Yes.
I'm a fan of the cheeky underdog story once in a while. So, I want to see complete 100% credit and fair play to John Jr. for his immaculate driving. And
totally.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so 3 points to heavy metal. So Tim, back to you again. Were you worried about heavy metal at all? Was it something that you thought he could control this fight against us, having seen what he did to Mr. Speed Squared?
No, not really. I'll be honest. We were hoping for a bot with exposed wheels,
and that's what you
wanted to get them. And they're great guys. And before the fight, John, had a chat in the pits, and he said, "I bet you're going to try it, aren't you?" And we're like, "Well, you've got to, haven't you?" So, I think it was over in about 35 seconds. But Carl, he pushed him to the wall. They had nowhere to go, and then turned and caught him on the wheel and sent it out the arena. That was amazing because that was the last fight of the day on filming, and we'd had such a nightmare with our drive after Thor again. Had this back EMF trouble on the reverse motor, and it was hours of fiddling and changing and everything, and stressed to our limits, exhausted, and that fight was just what we needed to give us the boost. It really was.
It's a bit nice.
I felt like we showed that we didn't just win on one lucky hit. We could dominate a fight and really tear a robot apart. It felt like we proved ourselves in that fight rather than just get through on luck.
Yeah,
absolutely.
that was a great fight.
I'm a fan of a wheel flying off.
Yeah, I was happy with that.
You can't go wrong with a wheel flying off into the abyss. So obviously another 3 points to Concussion, and can we call the next match a fight? I mean, there wasn't much fight there. There wasn't much fight there, was there? Unfortunately for Mr. Speed Squared against Thor, in a rematch from last series, obviously, there wasn't much to discuss really. I mean,
I'll say this: it showed Thor for the tank it actually is.
yes.
I mean, it literally. Jason was not messing around by this point. He'd already lost one. He's like, "Nah, mate, I'm getting in there. I'm getting the axe stuck in, and I'm winning." And that's it. And that's exactly what he did. So fair play to him. I can't moan at all for that, really. He just charged in, chopped him up, and went, "Oh, bye, get out."
Yeah. Game over, really.
Arena, no one else.
Oh no, Jason, he is such a good driver, isn't he? He's been doing it. Oh. He's got so much experience now. He was just on him instantly, and unfortunately for Speed Squared, the reliability issues plagued them a little bit, I think, this time round. But I mean, if they had been up to speed, it would have been, I think, quite an explosive match. That
I think it would have been quite close. But again,
yeah, I think so too.
They had their issues, and
yeah. I mean, if they were up to speed, and especially because Jason's wheel covers for Thor, they're bolted on. They're not fully welded, the hubs, and that's how he gets the wheels out. Yeah. So there is that weakness there. So if they'd got him, it could have been a different story. But again, they were plagued with their problems, as you said, and yeah, it's a shame because like you said, it's one of the best potential robots.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
But, I mean,
it is a beast.
He got chopped to bits, though. Really, I mean, that's why you don't use box section in the modern arena because, well, people like Thor will just chop you up like sushi. It's
that's what happens. Obviously, 3 points to Thor and nothing for Mr. Speed Squared. So, again, back to you, Tim. You see, Mr. Speed Squared, they do their little thing at the start. I don't know what they were doing, but they were spinning their robot and their blade in some kind of weird dance, and then they start flying off into the distance.
Yeah.
Did you think this is going to be easy pickings at that point, or were you still skeptical? Oh, you still worried?
No, I sort of, when they were in the arena testing it in this test arena, I just went up and sized up our weapon to theirs. I was like, it's at the worst possible height. You're not going to touch their body at all. So I said to Carl, let's not overdo it. I mean, let's pull back a bit. But Carl being Carl, he wanted to absolutely tap the bits. And I mean, that's what won it on the judge's decision. So I'm glad he did. But we just rammed at them at the start. But just had a slight slip on the arena, and so rather than the weapon, we just attacked him with our face. But it was good enough because it sent him flying. But it was so frustrating because you want to get those big hits and damage him. We've got a few on the underside, but yeah, it was a very frustrating fight because we just couldn't damage him properly.
And then you caught fire.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is what happens with these motors we were using, which we are not using ever again. Massive bias running in reverse. So against reverse. So the reverse is like 75% of the forward direction, which is quite bad, really. But we calibrated that out in the controller rather than change anything in the motor. But what was happening was there was like a capacitive effect in the motor where the back EMF was just being dumped all at once rather than gradually. And what had happened was because we were pushing around so much and the extra heat, the speed controller we had exploded. It wasn't like, I know people say things explode, I know people say things catch on fire. This exploded. Like, the board split in half. The capacitors looked like fireworks caught in mid-shot. It was mad. Absolutely mad. It charred the underside of the polycarbonate.
Wow.
Somehow though.
So what looked like a small plume of smoke was actually serious.
So we were still on two wheels at the end, but it was twitching. It was a hell of a fire.
You were looking a bit knackered towards the end, I will admit. Yeah, that was.
I honestly thought that you were just going to ground to a slow and kind of miserable death, really, and I thought they were going to nick it on the judges, which would have been something. But I mean, obviously, the hits he had already did enough, and
we did about 15, 20 hits on them with the drum. So
yeah,
we got a lot of hits on them.
Yeah, they obviously done enough at that point, and clean sweep, 3 wins in a row. I mean, that was probably unexpected. I mean.
Yeah, for rookies and with the conditions, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move on then to heavy metal and Thor. For the place to fight you again, lucky them. And heavy metal's grip, I think at this point was just kind of falling like snow, wasn't it? That was kind of.
It was like pebble dashing, all the little rubber mounts everywhere.
It was great.
So annoying.
It was coming off like the clean drop. It was ridiculous.
They were just covering the arena floor with those. It was so entertaining, though, I think.
Absolutely. And then the wheel gave way.
Same wheel. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Fair play to Jason though, because it's a hard robot to hit, really, heavy metal. I mean, I know it's quite a big robot, but because of its shape, it's a bit of a tough one to hit, especially with an axe. The aim on an axe is to be pitch perfect, otherwise it's not going to do anything. So fair play. I mean, it's just a true testament, really, just to show just how good of a driver Jason actually is, because he's able to get his aim perfect practically every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the wheel fell off, and Matilda decided, I don't like this wheel, and it's going. It's going. Oh no.
I mean, there's a little bit of the I loosened the jam jar lid for you with the wheel coming off, but yeah, fair play to get the wheel off.
It was all you, really, obviously, but you know. And that was the end of heavy metal. I mean, we'll talk about the two that went out first. I mean, Mr. Speed Squared, we've obviously praised it for being such a unique design, and it's got the potential to wreck worlds, but unfortunately, the grit again just kind of let it down. I mean, where would you say that their biggest improvement needs to be? Is it just a case of finding a setup that's just tested and true and then doesn't break, really? Is that all they can really do?
I mean,
I think it's their reliability, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, if they can get that working, it will be so devastating. Like you've seen what it can do. I'm not entirely sure what went wrong this time round. But if they can get rid of those gremlins, it'll be a monster, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It really will.
To be blunt, isn't it? It's for something to succeed nowadays. You haven't got like the sort of garage build standard anymore, have you? And I mean, theirs is a very good idea, but for something that intense with that much shock and everything, it needs to be more precision engineered, I think, with the weapon, because they're causing themselves way too much damage every time they do a hit.
Yeah.
The problem is, they just need that little bit more precision with the fitting of things and the way they lay it out, and especially the mounting of the weapon. That's everything. I mean, we spent weeks planning how we were going to mount the weapon so it didn't damage our robot. And in fact, we suffered no damage from our own weapon, which is, highly unusual for a spinner. So that's their key area to improve on.
I was going to say, because
self-damage.
In terms of you look at the robots nowadays, there obviously are garage builds that can be successful. For example, TR2 last series, but I mean, with a garage spinner is very difficult to do, unless you absolutely 100% know what you're doing, and obviously
we built it in a shed, but we spent the time really analysing how to not absorb shock into the robot from our weapon, and it's a big part of the spinner game. I mean, they can really pull the hits and everything, but it's something that's often overlooked, but it's super critical.
I think that was my theory with doing Tauron as a vertical spinner as opposed to a horizontal, because with a horizontal, when you hit something, you get so much force goes into your own robot as well as the other one that you just ping about the arena, don't you? Yeah. But with a vertical, when you get a good solid hit, I always think that the opponent robot will go up and you'll be forced down.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we chose to do vertical, just because it's more controllable. But of course, the horizontals are very entertaining.
Yeah,
they're always great. But I think with Speed Squared, I think they might have had similar problems to what PP3D had.
Too much.
With just too much power. But I say that, but you can never have too much, right? I think Speed Squared, like PP3D, if they can get them both working, they will be just devastating.
Unstoppable, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
Anderson, anything to add to?
The big thing you said there with the force, they've got nowhere for that force to go apart from straight back into themselves.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like with you, Tom, you've got your frame holding the weapon away from the main body. You've got your that process of isolation from the bot, and we've got floating bearings, pulleys, and then skids that put the force into the ground directly below the drum. You got to think about when two things collide, is equal and opposite in both directions. So relative to its mass, but you've got to consider that. It's such a big part of it.
Absolutely.
Firing a gun.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there's not much more to say about Mr. Speed Squared, except I hope they come back and I hope they get it working. That's another thing I want to see. Because I think that that team have obviously had various things in the classic series as well, which are quite unique and never really had the success that they probably deserve in terms of their ingenuity.
Yeah.
In terms of heavy metal, again, something to build on. I think there's clearly a design there that's going to be effective once it's perfected. But those wheels, man. I mean, those wheels.
Don't bring exposed wheels in, wasn't it?
That is a thing. That's been a thing, though. I mean, a lot of robots from the reboot have had exposed wheels. I think at least every heat has had at least one, hasn't it? Exposed wheels, I'm sure.
There's a real big culture of that in America, and
yes.
Ian was telling me when they went there, he was criticizing everyone for it, but the culture out there is because there's so many grabbers and lifters and people who try and ensnare your robot. Having an exposed wheel gives you a much higher angle of traction. So if you're lifted at a far edge, a lot of robots with low ground clearance actually come off the ground with both wheels and they've got no chance of recovery. Whereas with exposed wheels, no matter how high that wedge is lifting you, you always have some traction on the far wheel. So it's quite a big benefit when it's down to grappling and wrestling with robots.
It's a gamble, isn't it, really?
I think it proves that there's no perfect design. There's always something that can be caught out by another side.
Yeah.
Oh, you had to copy the intro. God damn it.
There isn't one though. There is no perfect design. Actually, that was I didn't actually mean to copy the intro there. That was quite ironic. Sorry about that. but it does literally prove that there is no perfect design. I mean, the one thing that's good against another type of robot is absolutely pants compared to another type, and vice versa. It's the unfortunate rule.
I suppose you could say that no machine is safe.
Hey, nice one.
I hate you. Don't forget, building robots is dangerous and should not be attempted without great care.
Oh dear. God, it's bad that we know that. Anyway, Heat final time.
Yes, it is.
Heat final time. Tim, once again, Thor still can get over Thor, or was it this time you feel a little bit better about things?
To be honest, we were even more worried because his reliability was getting better and better, and ours was just getting more and more of a problem. And we were on our last set of spares, and we were running everything hot, which is something we have taken away and realised we're not going to run it over voltage anymore. It goes through enough physical stress anyway, so we're running everything slightly under voltage for our next one. But we were like, right, we're going to have half the battery power. So we're on something like 16 volts, so virtually like no battery power, right? And we went in there thinking this is going to have to be all tactics because we haven't got the pushing power for this fight. But we've got good traction obviously because of the wheels. But it was one of those moments where like, do you know what? We've done well as rookies. Whatever happens here, we're proud of what we've done. Just to make the episode final was unbelievable for how little experience we had and how much we'd had to put in to repair. And do you know what? There was that sense of the whole team. We were just content with whatever happened. But I think because of that, it gave us that feeling of, do you know what? Let's just go for it. You can't go out with a whimper. So Carl was just brilliant. He just stayed in the middle of that arena. He timed the hits with the drum. We got him over a few times, but he was tactical and saved his axe. But it was the fact we just sort of held our ground in the middle, And I think it might have been Sam because he's a big Marvel fan. I think he said it's like little Captain America, before he gets his stim, he was just sort of fighting in the streets, saying I can do this all day, kind of. So it's similar to that. We just felt like we just fought our middle bit and kept the ground and aggression all the way. It was unreal.
I think it was closer than what it seemed. I said to Anderson when this first went out, obviously, at the time, you said it was quite obvious that Concussion. Well, I think it was a lot closer than what it seemed because Thor, I think, controlled the fight more than yourselves did. I think you obviously wanted damage and I think aggression eventually when you flipped him over, but I think Thor would the way that he'd get pointing the front towards you so you couldn't catch him properly. I thought that was amazing. Every time he got it spot on, apart from the one time he flipped him, obviously.
I mean, it was really good control from Carl. But the fact as well is, I think what people don't realise about our bodies. I know we've got polycarbonate on the top, but it is 12 mil thick, and it has been hand bent, and nobody bends polycarb at 12 mil thick. Carl and Nick spent hours doing that by hand with heat guns. What that did was it annealed the polycarb, and it's a lot harder than you'd actually think it would be. So even though Thor landed a couple of hits on us, and even Shunt got one right near the start, nothing got through that polycarb. In that episode, it was
when you said it was hand bent. I thought you meant they picked up a bit of polycarb and just literally bent it with their bare hands. I mean, I just henched one up.
No, I didn't know. We built a jig in the lounge and slowly, very carefully heat gun and just patience, and it came out really well. It was John Reed was going. I never even wanted to try that in all the years of doing it. So I mean, time and effort put into it, it produced a material that's quite sturdy for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think and I think I never thought a rookie would go through this series. I thought it would be like all experienced teams that go through. I think the fact that a new team has come in and made the grand final is kind of ridiculous, really. I mean, I know Panic Attack did it in the original series, but that was a time ago. It's kind of hard to, as an entry level team, to just come straight in and think, we'll make the grand final. It's just kind of unheard of, and I think absolute huge credit to yourself and the rest of your team that you managed to make it to the grand final. It's kind of ridiculous, really.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, there were so many points where the robot was stripped down to nothing, and we just thought, no, we're going to get replaced. It's going to be over. But I talked our way into getting into the series, and I talked our way in the pits to get 10 more minutes. So it was. It's sort of that, he's a very nice big guy, but let's keep him a nice big guy. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say, like,
if you pulling out a baseball bat and just patting it in your hand, saying you will give me 10 minutes.
No, I'm
right?
not at all. There was one moment actually. I haven't said this, but our first four-way, and Tom can verify this. We were in the booth, and I went to turn the motor, and I was like, "Damn it, the ESC's tripped. It's got an overpower protection, and our weapon wasn't working." And the little production guy, Tom, he was tiny, wasn't he? He was like, "Oh no, it's not." I was like, "Oh, it's not. I'm just going to the pits. No, I'm just going down to the pits." And he was like, oh no, but it's starting. I was like, oh yeah, as soon as I get back. I wasn't like at all like chatty about it. I was like, oh, I'm just going down there. So I walked all my way round past the audience and everything, just to get down and just reset the robot with the safety link, and it was fine. But it was that sort of, oh no, just sort of pretending not to understand what's going on and
I seem to remember seeing somewhere that you're referred to as Chewie on the team. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think the production guy knew to let the Wookiee win.
Yeah, definitely.
And that pretty much concludes Heat 3. I mean, Tom, unfortunately,
I have one question, guys, and it's for both these guys, both these two.
Go ahead.
You're both rookies, both first-time entrants. Have you guys got any tips for any potential new boys out there who want to start building?
That's a good question.
Robots.
I think I'd say keep it unique, because I think that's what they're looking for, right? I mean, because it's a competition, yes, but it's also a TV show. So I think what they're looking for are unique robots with weapons that potentially haven't been tried much before. With Concussion, it was the drum. We haven't seen that many drums, not really. And I guess with mine, it's the strange pivoting vertical spinner design that, of course, you never got to see. I think that's that's what they're looking for.
I mean, you've got to have something a bit different, because we wanted to design a drum that had good, drive power and had control, because a lot of drums get a gyro effect. Because we changed the weight of the drum and where it's positioned with the axle, it was very stable while spinning. But like Tom said, it's ingenuity. But like the big thing I think as well is don't be afraid to ask. Like if there's anything you don't understand, worried about something, just ask. Because although we look like mad people throwing money at things that we destroy in an arena while screaming and shouting behind glass,
which you are, man.
We are mad people.
I think it has to be said.
Genuinely, like all of us were just pitching in straight away. It's fantastic. Like the ethos, can't describe it. It's phenomenal.
It really was so cool. It's such a great community.
Yeah, and obviously, you were fans of the show before, but have you definitely got the bug for more Robot Wars in the future?
Oh, yes. Oh, my yes.
The next series as well.
Fantastic.
We've got some really cool new features, actually, in the bot. I've been working on today with Nick. So some really cool stuff coming.
Fantastic.
Hopefully, if we get accepted. But it's...
Well, considering you made the final, I think you've got a pretty decent chance. I think that's a...
Yeah, but I mean... I would just like to thank all the people that were really positive about us as well. I mean, TR2 were there. It's a shame they didn't get in again, because they're a great team. Absolutely. But they've been really supportive of our team, actually. It's been great guys, all of them, actually, I have to say. I mean, good sports for taking it on the chin and, still being positive about the whole thing. So,
absolutely.
It just shows that when you're in this sort of community, no matter what little politics goes on or anything, we're all roboteers, we're all doing the same thing, and we should all have respect for each other.
And if we can have a bit of fun along the way, why not?
Definitely, yeah. And sausage rolls and your mum's biscuits as well, Tom.
Oh yes.
Brilliant stuff. Anyway, that is all for Heat 3. I mean, we'll start with Tom. How would you rate this episode and the biscuits, obviously?
Well, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Best one of the series. Best robots. I think it was a really good one. I think it was a good mix of different weapon types, right? I mean, so far we've got in the final, what have we got? We've got a vertical spinner, and we've got a flipper, and now we've got a drum spinner. I think the way that they've laid out the competitors in each episode is quite clever, because they've got such a range of weaponry, haven't they? I think it's great. Yeah, I think it's a really good series so far. I think it's far more destructive than the last one, right?
Yeah.
There's so many big old spinners. I can't wait to see the next ones.
I'm guessing, Tim, you're saying this is pretty much the best episode of all time.
It's a good episode, but do you know what? I know I'm a super fan of them, but my favourite is still the grand final of Series 5. And it's not even because Razor won. It's not even that. It's like, I think that final fight encapsulates everything about Robot Wars. That's great. Bigger Brother there was nothing left. There was nothing left of that bot.
No.
But everyone got it together for a fight and put it back in that arena, and it stood there and did it to the last. It really, really put a good effort in. That whole team, and I think that's what you got to focus on. It's just the effort involved is just immense. And I think out of our series, this one so far, I think has definitely been most entertaining episode for variety. But you got to look at Aftershock at the start. That was
It was something special. It was something special, wasn't it?
Such a brutal scene.
Anderson?
I still get excited thinking about it.
Hello.
Very else. Yeah, good heat. Pretty good heat. I agree with Tim. I don't think it's the best one of the lot ever. I mean, my personal favorite episode of this series has got to be Heat A. Personal favorite episode of all time is probably something from Series 4. Probably the tag team terror. That was pretty amazing. But it's an all round good heat. Yeah, I agree a lot with Tom. Lots of originality, nice mishmash of different weapons, some great machines. Again, you had a nice balance. You had some rookies, you had some school kids, you had some veterans, you had some robots that literally deserved to go further and sadly didn't, and you had some robots that pulled it out the bag and somehow made it through despite the odds all being against them. And I think it really was a good heat. So fair play to everybody who competed, and now I can breathe.
I'm impressed with that. Well done. So, obviously, thank you very much to Tom and Tim for joining us. And Tim, a massive congratulations to making the grand final at your first attempt.
Thank you very much.
And Tom,
thank you very much. Thank you very much for having us.
Anyway, myself and Anderson will once again be gracing your ears next week for Heat 4. Goodbye.
You poor buggers.
Oh, dear.
Goodbye.
Hang on one sec.
Oh.
Intermission.
Elevator music. There you go.
Right, sorry.
No,
Came back.
carry on. You were saying.